Hey, buddy.
Hi, Jesse.
What's up?
What are you eating there?
Yeah, what are you eating?
Fruit.
Fruit.
I thought it was something exciting.
I was in Ottawa last night, and I got back at 3 a.m. And then obviously I had to get up and do a lot of stuff,
Talk to
some
us.
media stuff, and so I haven't really. Everybody's eating right now at lunch, and I didn't have time to have lunch, so this is it. For my man Taylor, I would do anything. I would do anything for him.
Oh, that's so kind. Well, we appreciate that, Jesse. Actually, while we're on the topic, because Theo thought you were eating a digestive biscuit, which I'm sure you know all about with your time in England.
Boy,
Are you a tea? Are you a tea drinker, Jesse? And it doesn't sound that didn't sound to me
You
like
mean
maybe
Yorkshire
you are.
tea? Yorkshire tea? Is
Obviously.
that what we're getting into?
Yeah, we are.
No, I mean I don't mind tea, but I'm more coffee. I live in Italy, man. I live in Italy, so I'm a coffee drinker.
But when you were at Leeds, did they make you drink Yorkshire tea with milk?
Well, you get coffee in the UK in general, so you really have no. And I heard this term when I first heard this term, flat white. I felt like that described me as a person, so I didn't know if that was like an insult.
Oh God, that's
good.
That's good.
It's really clear that for us, that the only finish in the group that'll be acceptable is finishing first. I was sitting at home watching the draw, and we drew Man City, and then we drew PSG, and then I remember going to the refrigerator to get out some vodka. But I want them to know that when we lose it, we have to be good at counter-pressing. We have to be good with our rest defense. We have to be good at winning it back and making sure that we can contain the opponent. I know that we can put together a starting 11 that's very good. Now, I'm not always in a job long enough to put all those things in place.
Your time at Leeds United was so fun to watch, to witness.
I'm glad that you thought it was fun while I was at Leeds.
How's that vodka?
Exactly. Because it was pretty stressful.
So we will start, of course, with Canada. Obviously, we are just over 200 days away from the World Cup. You've been in charge of Canada since May 2024, so 18 months or so now since you've been the first American to lead that nation. What would you say, Jesse, has changed from May 2024 to November 2025?
Well, I think in general, we've created a really clear identity in the team. And truthfully, we're trying to create an identity and a DNA for the sport in the country. This sport in this country of Canada is full of incredibly high-level athletes. I don't know if there's I think we could put ourselves in the category of the best teams in the world in terms of the type of athletes that we have within the squad. So, I've tried to tilt things to being a little bit more vertical, a little bit more about speed and power. Obviously, I'm a coach who likes to press and counter press and be aggressive in the way we play, and so that's what we've tried to change. And then, in addition to that, I think we've continued to push the high level talent that we have in our team, but we've broadened the player pool. When I first came, I felt like maybe we had 12, 13 names that I could probably write on the board and say, all right, these players are probably going to be in the World Cup in 2 years. And now I think that list is going to 25 to it's really going to challenge me to figure out who are the right players to include for the World Cup come next summer.
To be fair, that was actually my question I was going to ask you about, because of England, of course, have got so many options. I mean, you kind of answered it there, but your world squad, have you already got an idea for, the base, the hub of all these athletes you're talking about?
Yeah, I think we do now have a clearer and clearer understanding of exactly what our player pool is and who the potential players are even for the future. There's a couple things with that. So then because the national team has done well, I think it's really given a lot of our players the opportunity to make moves in their professional careers and go to bigger clubs. That can be two-sided, right? That can be really good because it's good for them to be playing at a higher level and be challenged at a higher level, but sometimes the guys aren't playing. And so, trying to help each of our players make the right decisions in their career so that they're challenging themselves, but they're also being rewarded for their overall progress. That I think has been key for us. And then still, I still think we have another gear, another level that we need to play at. And some of it is the tactics and the idea of the football we play, but other parts of it are about the identity of our personality, of our leadership, of our savviness, our understanding of what the best games require. So, without having qualifiers, which most teams have, we've had to try to inject that into our team through the types of opponents, the level of opponents that we've played, and through the own internal pressures that we've tried to create to keep pushing our team to be what we need to be for next summer.
I hate to put it in this frame of mind, but I will. What's more important for you, to figure out your starting 11, your best 14, or to figure out what your roster is in the next 2 or 3 training camps that you have?
Well, let's start with the makeup of this World Cup, or the layout, right? Like in the other World Cups, there's only like 3 or 4 days in between. But because there are so many teams now, there's more like 5 and 6 days in between. So your need to call on every player may change a little bit, right? And it may mean that without being too clever, like I can potentially use the same squad or lineup or only make a couple of changes. But obviously, as the tournament still goes on, I think you need to be able to manage what that means. It's a good question, Taylor, but it's hard to answer because I think as a coach, as a manager, you always have to kind of have today in mind, tomorrow in mind, the next match, the next week, the next month, the World Cup. Like I've always, no matter what job, club, international, you kind of have to have this like short-term plan along with the overall vision of what you really have the goal of what you want to become. Now, I'm not always in a job long enough to put all those things in place, but I try to implement that idea of development in a team. That being said, I know that our top level talent is really high. Like I know that we can put together a starting 11 that's very good and can compete with just about anybody in the world. The challenge over the last 6 months is Alfonso's been hurt. Alistair's now been hurt a lot. Moyes has been hurt. This camp, we're missing guys like Liam Miller and Daniel Jebison and a few others. So it's been an opportunity, I think, to broaden and to challenge some of our younger players to understand what this requires. But it also means that we haven't had quite as much time with our overall first group to continue to push the level. But I trust that those guys will get healthy, get back, and be ready to push things again.
Jesse, this time next month, we would have had the World Cup draw. So just give us an insight into what life will look like once the draw has taken place in terms of your day-to-day.
The draw really dictates, what your vision of how you're going to manage things. Like I remember being in Leipzig, and I was excited to be in the Bundesliga and excited for having a team like that. And then I was sitting at home watching the draw and we drew Man City, and then we drew PSG. And then I remember going to the refrigerator to get out some vodka. And then we drew Club Brugge, who was, I thought, the best group in the fourth pot. So, it's always going to be a challenge and that you're always going to face a good opponent, but there are levels in there, right? So, I don't want to disrespect the World Cup draw in general, but, obviously you want to try to see a group that's manageable, that you feel like gives you a real shot at success. And then, I remember whether it was in 2010 being part of the U.S. Staff with Bob Bradley, or whether it's been in Champions League or Cups or any of these things, is like how you really now start to get into the depth of getting to know an opponent. And certainly with 6-7 months to prepare before the World Cup, we'll be traveling around. We'll be watching individual players play for the opponents. We'll be watching a lot of tape and video on, I sound old now when I say that, but we'll be watching a lot of the videos on the opponents and what they're about. And I remember going into the 2010 World Cup and watching Slovenia warm up and being like, yeah, that's exactly how he is. That's exactly how he reacts to certain things. That's exactly how he doesn't react. We had England in that group. That didn't require Theo. That didn't require a lot of scouting. We knew you guys pretty well. But, certainly trying to really help the players understand exactly what you're going to be faced with, and then creating match plans that you think can be successful. That's really important in the preparation.
To that, Jesse, you mentioned there as well, the side of the data side of football is really changed. And how do you kind of keep the human side of the coaching? And you showed a little snippet there with the vodka and everything, and even the human side of yourself, but more for the players and the coaching. How do you manage that? Because it's all data driven with, obviously,
he's good at it.
Leipzig.
Theo, he's
how
good
do
at
you
it.
cope? Yeah.
Well, look, I think that what the tolerance for data is for guys like me, it might be different than for some other coaches, right? In Germany, they have this phrase they call laptop coach. And but even there, the Germany's not as much data driven as it's like video driven. Like they're very good at breaking down video and now analyzing exactly what they want and how they want to manage things. But I always think no matter what, it's you're trying to tell a story, right? And you're trying to use data or video or anything in a way that you can simplify it down so that the story you tell is clear for the players to digest, and you can create an idea of what the opponent is good at and what they're trying to achieve and the things that we value, and then how we can use those things to gain advantages against whatever the opponent's going to present. And so look, in life, in football, making complicated things simple is so incredibly important. And I think that is maybe never more vital than when you're dealing with data and statistics and numbers.
Jesse, you became an international manager May 2024, first time ever. What's the biggest difference? And I know naturally you want to say you're working with a group every day. You can set up tactical plans every single day, but give us something that you didn't expect. What's the biggest difference from coaching a club to the international level? Maybe it's a pro, maybe it's a con, maybe it's both, but just give us insight on what's been the biggest difference for you.
Yeah, I will break it down pretty simply. Like, when even when I was being considered for the US job, right, everyone would say, well, I'm a style of play manager. You can't manage that in international football. There are truths to that, right? Because you don't have as much time with the team, but either does the opponent, right? So
fair.
And what I found that actually with what we have done is we focus so much more on principles and behaviors than on tactics. Like, of course, we have our tactical systems and how we defend and how we possess the ball and the movements and ideas we like to have. But for me, we've built in so much more, like, what is the principle when we have the ball in this space, and how do we want to manipulate the opponent in our movement so that we can create an advantage, so that maybe we can hit them in a different space. And then how we happen to do that, we don't go, okay, it goes from X to A to B to C. It's more like, okay, here's the concept of how we want to achieve that, and then what we want to be thinking about next. And certainly with our counterpressing and pressing, we want to be the team that kind of is always prepared to react faster, to think faster, to play faster. And we try to build that into what it's like every time that we're together, but also build it into how we encourage our players to develop even when they're with their club teams. And so, we've kind of then built this phrase that principles are more important than tactics in the international game. And it's interesting how that works and what that actually means. But we really focus, of course, we have our tactical systems, but we really focus on the individual behaviors and the collective behaviors when we're together.
Can I just follow up on that, actually? Sorry,
yeah,
Rebecca.
Go for it, Theo. Go.
I was just as a player as well, with the balance of the tactical discipline you were talking about there, how do you let the players express themselves freely when they're given the opportunities to?
He doesn't. If you don't do anything right, Theo, he benches you for a month. It's gone.
You're just done.
It's done. It's over. It doesn't matter.
Look,
he doesn't talk to you. You can't eat lunch with the team. It's over.
No, Theo, look, I'm a believer that, the two phrases that you'll never hear me say, Theo, are don't get beat and don't lose, or keep the ball. Don't lose the ball. And I want our player, we have a structure and a system that we play in, but I want our players to be creative when they have the ball. I want them to try things, but I want them to know that when we lose it, we have to be good at counterpressing. We have to be good with our rest defense. We have to be good at winning it back and making sure that we can contain the opponent. And then we can get the ball, and then, we have our ideas of our positioning and the things we want to try and the areas of the pitch that we want to attack. But then again, be creative, try things. Our attacking players, I'm constantly saying, hey, be clever there, and maybe you can catch them unbalanced there and find something there or see another play there. And so I try to build in creativity, but then the reactions when they lose it. And then in the pressing, if you want to be a good pressing team and you have 11 players on the pitch that are only worried about getting beat or being exposed, and they don't understand how they are together and their collective aggression and what that means tactically and conceptually, then you're never going to really be able to be difficult on the opponent. So I'm always encouraging them to be more aggressive, to be more connected, to understand their roles and how they fit within each other better and better, so that they can collectively feel the contagiousness of going after the game collectively.
Jesse, I was going to just bring you back to... No, you're fine. You have
You guys
been
are
in this
so
game.
nice. You guys are so cordial.
We are.
on
We
this,
are.
you know?
We
I always
are-
get told
we
off
are,
by
aren't we?
Rebecca if I interact.
Does
That's
not.
the
No, he does not. I've got to keep them in. I've got to
Rebecca
keep them
Rebecca
in line.
runs the Jesse Marsch tactical system on podcast.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Oh my god!
Nobody gets
I don't
any
know how
lunch if
Taylor
they step
fits with
over.
you guys. I don't know how he fits.
Oh,
with
it's a
you.
I
nightmare.
don't. I'm a misfit.
Jesse. It's an absolute nightmare. No, Jesse, I have to ask this question because, you know, in your experience in different countries at different levels of football, been in the game so long as a player and as a coach and as a manager, you know that in football, things happen that you would never write, even in a crazy soap opera, you just wouldn't write it. Which means that Canada are going to play the USA next summer at some stage, aren't they?
Okay. Okay. And so, what's the question?
I suppose the question is, how will that feel for you and your family?
Well,
And
look,
who will the kids root for?
Well, we're all Canadians now, man. I was rooting for the Blue Jays, Taylor. So Taylor's a baseball guy. I don't know if you guys know. He doesn't even know football. He's a baseball guy.
Completely, 100%. I can't believe you just said the Blue Jays. I kind of was.
Yeah,
too,
well, I
period.
was my Brewers first,
I was too.
Taylor. But
Yeah,
then
exactly.
Then I was,
There
then
you
I
go.
Was then I was the Blue Jays. Yeah, I mean, look, we played the U.S. twice already, right? And who won those games, Taylor? Do you remember who won?
I don't know. I have concussion problems. Sorry, Jesse.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that's another issue with Taylor. We did. We won both, right? And by the way, the first time we beat him was the first time that Canada beat U.S. on U.S. soil in 67
soil.
years. And even in that game, it was special because of being an American and the national anthem and all that stuff. And I know a lot of the players But like when you get in this job, you get so laser focused on your team and the preparation of your team and trying to make sure that your guys are ready to go out and do everything they can to be their best. And so as much as that would be a unique and special situation, I actually don't like playing the U.S. because I feel like too much of the attention gets shifted to me and not enough on the team and what we're doing and how we're doing it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure because they're Group A and we're Group C, or are they Group B?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that would work. Taylor, would you know
Yeah.
how would they? Could they?
Maybe we'd
It
meet
would
in the
be
final.
Really down the road. It would
the
be
final.
really down the road.
If we met in the final, that would be okay. That would be okay.
Yeah,
That ain't
absolutely.
happening. That's just not happening. England are going to be in the final, of course.
Okay,
With
well,
Canada.
Here we go.
look,
Yeah, sorry, Taylor.
good luck. Good luck.
I mean, it's possible that England will play Canada, though. That's definitely
Yes.
that's very
There we go.
likely.
Oh, good.
And about that, actually, how do you feel? You know, the aims for the World Cup for you as a squad and a nation, considering obviously last one didn't go to plan.
Yeah, it's only the third World Cup for Canada. Never gotten a point. Scored a goal last time. Alfonso scored the first goal in Canadian football history in the World Cup. Here's my answer to that. Obviously, the team has become more ambitious because we've been successful, right? And the player pool continues to improve and playing at bigger clubs. And so, you know, again, with that comes the expectation internally of what we think. The structure of the tournament is this. If we win our group, we stay in Canada for 2 more knockout games. If we finish second, we go to the U.S., and if we qualify as a third, we go to the U.S. or Mexico. So it's really clear that for us, that the only finish in the group that'll be acceptable is finishing first. And it's very ambitious to say, considering we've never won a game, but we believe that. We believe at home that we're a good team. We believe that we're developing as a good team, and we're excited for the challenge. And internally, I think our expectations are not just to get out of the group, but to try to make a real run at it. You know, I mean, to say to win the World Cup, of course, like every country in the world should go. Everyone should go and say we want to win the World Cup. But more importantly, like we want to make sure we use this opportunity to electrify the nation, to change the sport in the nation forever. And the best way to do that is to really, really make a run at it.
Jesse, that's a great segue to where I was going to go with this. And I've been on the record. I think your 11s with U.S., Mexico, and Canada, I think you guys have talent-wise, coupled with the manager and how he manages those players. I've said this. I think you guys are the best team. But managing expectations for a country that's only going to their third World Cup, but also someone like yourself that will push the Canadian Federation to be more, to do more in the next 5 to 10 years. How important is this World Cup for Canada and that federation to realize that they can be a real, for lack of a better word, juggernaut in CONCACAF, and more importantly, take advantage of the talent that you guys have now?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot to that. Let me first tell you this story, okay? It's my story. So in 1991, I went to Princeton University. I went to university at Princeton because I thought I'll play college soccer and I'll be done, and then I'll go get a real job and I'll be done playing. Maybe I'll play men's league and go from there, because there wasn't real opportunity, right? But then the World Cup came in 94 and the MLS started in 96. And then I was in the first draft, and I went to DC United. I was lucky to go to a good club and play for good coaches with good players. We won the first 2 titles. I had a 14-year professional career, and it led into me being an assistant coach. It led into me being a head coach. In Red Bull, I then got my UEFA license. I became the first American to coach in Champions League, second to go to the Premier League, first in the Bundesliga. All these opportunities that all stemmed from the fact that the 1994 World Cup gave American kids a chance to actually dream about doing what they love to do. And this is the same story we need to create in Canada, right? And in Canada, our youth systems for both our men and women are worse than most African nations. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So we need to create better infrastructure. We need to create more revenue, which we're doing with Kevin Blue, who's the head of our CSA, our organization, and he's an amazing sports professional. In fact, the best I've ever worked with. And we need to give more of our young, talented players the opportunity to live their dream. We need young coaches. We need young administrators and sport directors. We need to really help build what this sport can be, because more people play this sport in Canada than any other sport, more than hockey, guys. So there's an opportunity here.
So what's the biggest obstacle, Jesse, on that topic? Why is it an obstacle? Is it because of hockey and the love and passion for that? Is it weather? Is it everything that I'm talking about?
No, it's
why
resources.
is it not here yet?
It's resources. Yeah. It's literally that. Like, there's been no money behind the sport. And look, I mean, hockey, it's still a grinding sport. If you've been here in the winter, you'd see every park in the entire country gets flooded, and they put up boards, and kids go out on the ice, and there's organized, there's unorganized, there's open play, wow. I mean, it's an incredible infrastructure, maybe different than any sport I've ever seen in any country in the world, like how much the sport of hockey means to this country. But there's an opportunity with the growing multiculturalism in Canada to continue to build that into our sport. And by the way, our 17s now are competing in the 17 World Cup. Yep. They just won their first match ever in the history of that tournament. They tied France last match. They play tomorrow against Chile. They're playing our football. They're trying to implement the ideas of what we think Canada football is. And I think we're going to see that this team is going to be successful on this stage, that the 17s will be successful, that we're pushing even how it connects with the women's game, and that obviously the player pool and potential and talent that we're developing in this country, there's real potential of what Canada can become as a football nation for the future.
Jesse, we're going to let you go in just a minute. I just think it would be remiss if we didn't ask you, because of course we talk Premier League week in, week out as well on this podcast. And your time, as you mentioned, you're the second American manager to work in the Premier League. Your time at Leeds United was so fun to watch, to witness, to look from the outside in. What I'm interested in is, now you've had so much experience in different countries and different clubs and different types of football, the Premier League scrutiny. That media, that press pack that would turn up on a Friday morning for after training for the pre-match press conference, and it's amount that you have to do. It's the ex-players like
Theo.
Yeah, I just would love to know, like no, Theo's not. He's lovely, but I would just like to know that now you've had a bit of time out of English football. Just, is it really as bad as a lot of people in the game in England feel that it is, that scrutiny from the media, Jesse?
Look, I'm glad that you thought it was fun, Rebecca, while I was at Leeds.
How's that vodka? Is it all right?
Exactly.
I enjoyed it because you represented.
Because it was pretty stressful. It was pretty stressful.
And I'm sure it was.
No, it was. So first, let's start with this. Like, I had been more on the higher end of the food chain in most of the clubs that I coached, and not on the lower end. And the challenges of whether you're on the high end or the low end of what the Premier League is, and the coaches and the quality of the players and the teams, like, just from a pure technical and tactical respect, like, competing in that league is such an amazing challenge. Like, it made me so much better. I was so thankful for the experience, but man, every week was like studying opponents and studying coaches, and wow, what a challenge. Amazing. Like so awesome. And then getting the chance to go to the test every weekend. That was so great. Yeah. I mean, look, the scrutiny, it means it's important, right? Now, is it often unfair and unrealistic and ridiculous? And is that country full of idiotic experts like at every club and every fan who thinks that they're Pep Guardiola? Yes, it is, yes. Right? But it's kind of what makes the Premier League different as well. It does. It's that the stadiums are so powerful, the energy of the fans, the energy of the support groups, the level of the game, every aspect of what the Premier League is just it's like an awe. And so, I've obviously now kept track of things, and I know things a little bit more, and coaches and players and clubs. And so I have a little bit more input, or at least idea of what that is about. This is the first job ever that I talked about social media almost regularly with the team, because I had to try to help them prepare themselves to like just go out and play the game in the way we wanted to play and not worry about what everyone was going to say if it didn't go the way we wanted. So yeah, I mean, it's a whole ball of wax, but I was incredibly thankful for the experience. It was an honor to represent Leeds United and in the Premier League. I learned a lot for it. I'm a better person for it, a better coach for sure. And, I just know that before the match, every time you'd go, like sometimes you compete and you go to and maybe you don't like the other manager that much, or something's happened. And so you kind of have like a feigned handshake, and you kind of just sort of say good luck. In the Premier League, every time I'd see a coach, we'd look at each other and go, how are you doing? And they go, I'm miserable, man. How about you? I'm like, the same. And I was just like, good, like truly, like before the game, after the game, you're just like, all the best. I hope you don't jump off a cliff in the next few days.
I take it you're not coming back then. I take it you're not going to come back.
No, I don't mind.
At any point soon.
I don't mind it. But I mean, look, for me, it's not about, and not that it ever was, but obviously, I always had the my eye on the Premier League. But for me now, it's so much more in my life, not even my career, just like finding the right situation, finding the right people. And that's if you want to, let's take it back to Canada. That's the thing I love about being here, is I think my value system and the things that I care about mesh almost perfectly with the leadership inside the CSA, with the player pool, with this country. Like, there's really good symmetry and I think togetherness with everything that we're doing. So I took some time, but I'm really happy with the decision I made, and it's turned out to be even better than I could have hoped.
Jesse, thank you so much. If we don't speak to you before next summer, we wish you all the luck in the world, unless it's against England. Just kidding. We wish you all the luck in the world next summer. Thank you so much for joining us on It's Called Soccer. Thank you, Jesse.
All right. Thank you, guys. All the best. I love watching your show. Good job. Theo, nice meeting you, man.
Thanks,
nice
buddy.
Meeting you.
All right, dude. Take care.